Hello there, fellow robotics enthusiasts. This is a follow-up video where I'm going to be showing you how to build this battery. It is one of our projects that we've listed, and we've made a video about this before, but we got a lot of feedback on it asking us how to actually build it. So this is going to be a step-by-step video where I'm going to be showing you how to exactly build this battery. I'm going to be giving you some technical tips on the construction of this. Okay, so this is a component list of all the things that we're going to be using today. Some of these things are optional, but some of them are compulsory in completing this project and making a nice battery system, especially uninterrupted power supply for your Wi-Fi router. Okay, so we got 4 lithium iron phosphate cells over here, as you can see them here. Then we're going to add 5 screws, 5 nuts. These are 4mm screws and 4mm nuts, and spring washers with the lugs. The lugs are going to be used to connect the balancing board. And then we of course have our 3 bus bars, which are going to be used to link these batteries together. Okay, so I have some tools here which are all available on our website, but they aren't compulsory. You can use your own tools you have at home. So let's get started. Okay, so first off, you're going to start by handling the battery. If you check over there, you're going to have a positive and a negative side. So be sure to notice which side is which, because this is going to be very important for constructing your battery. Okay, so what I like to do is I first start by building the shell and then adding the balancing board on later. So you're going to take your one battery at the positive end. You're going to have another battery. It's going to be flipped over. So you're going to see you're going to have a hole where you can put a screw in, and you're going to have a screw where you can put a nut over. Then continue by adding your bus bar like so, followed by a spring washer and by your nut that you're going to be using. So it screws straight on here. Okay, there we go. I will be tightening these later with a spanner, but for now only tie them loosely so you can remove them later when adding the balancing board. Next, you're going to take one of your other screws. You're going to be adding the spring washer over here. You're just going to be screwing it in here loosely like so. There you go. Now we're going to be moving over to the other side, the opposite side of where this balancing bus bar was added. So as it's laying here, so we have a negative here and a positive here. So now what you're going to do is you're going to flip this battery over again. So you're going to have a positive on this side and a negative end on this side. And you're going to be doing the exact same thing, just repeating the process as I've showed earlier. Okay, now that we've added our second bus bar, the third one is going to come on the opposite side of this one again. So secondly, you're just going to be checking here. There's your positive, so it's going to be positive next to negative. So make sure your batteries turn around again. So your batteries are going to be flipped. Each battery is going to be opposite to the other one next to it. This makes building the board or the battery quite easy. And it's very easy to follow, and yeah, so I'm just going to be flipping it over like this. So be sure to hold the battery in place, as it's not yet tightly connected. It's going to feel a little bit loose, so we have a nice structure to work with here. Okay, now that we've finished here, so what we've actually done here is we've coupled these batteries in series. Now when you couple them in series, the voltage increases, but the amperage stays the same. So now you're left with a 6 amp hour 12 volt battery. this is gonna be, if you look at your markings on your battery, one end is gonna end with a positive and the other end is gonna end with a negative. So this is gonna be your negative side and it's gonna be your positive side of your battery. So over these two terminals, you should be measuring 12 volts. So this is the Aneng Smart Multimeter, which I'm gonna be using to test the voltage. So now we have built our 12 volt battery. Over these two terminals, you're going to be measuring 12 volts, more or less, depending on how fully it's charged or how much it has been discharged. So another thing to note, don't short anything between these two lines and these two lines and these two lines. So what you're going to notice is going to be smoke and a very hazardous chemical being released. So I would recommend using extra precaution when tightening these bus bars so you don't make a short, which could be the end of your battery building. So let's have a look at this multimeter. It has been set to automatic now, so it will automatically detect whether I'm measuring ohms, whether I'm measuring voltage, DC or AC. So it should automatically detect that I'm currently measuring DC voltage. So just go over the two terminals here. Now you're going to see we're sitting at 13.07 volts. This is a quite fully charged battery. I would say it's about at 60% capacity. So that is correct what we're measuring. So we know we did everything right. Now, the next step would be to add your balancing board. So when you order your balancing board, you'll see it will come with a wire that looks like this with a little connector at the one back and tinted ends. You could cut these wires shorter if you'd like to make it look neater, but I would not recommend cutting different wire lengths as the batteries are being balanced in based on their internal resistance, and longer wires means more resistance, so you're going to have an out of balance battery system. So just keep these wires the same length and you should be good to go. So the basic function of this balancing board is to balance the voltage between cells if they are connected in series. If you do connect batteries in parallel, it's no need to be adding one of these boards. But for series connections, I would really recommend adding one of these, as your battery's voltages are going to get out of balance over time, and this may lead to overcharging or undercharging of your battery system. So this is a very important board to add to your system. So I'm going to start by cutting these wires a little bit shorter because they are too long for me and I want my project to look nice and neat. So I'm going to be taking our wire stripping tool. It has a nice little knife in here which cuts the wires for me. So I just go like this. I'm just going to be cutting these wires. There you go. Just going to be removing them. Okay, great. Now that we're left with our shorter wires, which should work for everything, I'm just going to be going ahead and stripping around 1 centimeter off of the ends of each wire. So I've added my spacer here. I have already set it to the correct measurement. So I'm just going to go ahead and press this wire against the spacer. And I'm going to be pushing on it. It's going to be stripping that wire for me nice and neatly. Now that our wires are stripped, the next thing we're going to be doing is adding the lugs. So it doesn't matter where you go first. I would recommend adding the lugs and stripping the wires to have your entire wiring system prepared before going on to the next step. Okay. So I'm going to be taking this wire over here. You're going to be bending it over the insulation like this. So now you're left with a nice thick piece of wire that your lug can grip onto. This is going to prevent any of your balancing board wires not making good contact or coming loose. Next thing you want to do, you want to insert it here at the back. And you're going to be inserting it until it reaches that point. You're going to see a little bit of wire sticking out there. Next, we're going to be taking our crimping tool. So as you can see here, it is color coded for different size of connections. So this lug is red, as it is a 0.25 to 1.5 millimeter. So continue by squeezing the crimping tool, releasing it, and it's going to open up for you. Now what you're going to do is you're going to be adding this lug in there, so that the eye of the lug is facing the side marked in red. So now you're going to continue by just pressing it down. Once your wire is secured and in place, just press down till it clicks, let go, and there you go. Okay, I will continue to add the rest of the wires, so just be patient, bear with me. So I have connected all of these connectors. I've made sure that all of them are nice and secure. Make sure that they are making contact. So that's what we're going to be doing next. So we're going to take our multimeter again, just get this out of the way, and we're going to be setting it to continuity. You see there's a power button. I'm just going to be cycling here through the settings until it shows you this where you measure ohms. So once you touch your two probes, you're going to hear beeping noise, and that means that there is actually a track through the conductors. So you're going to be placing this piece of wire here on, so the pins are facing upwards. You can see the little metal sticking out there. You're going to be adding one of your probes to whichever pin you'd like, which I have added to purple. You're going to follow the purple wire. You're just going to be testing here. As you can hear, I have a nice beeping noise, and that's what you want to hear. So that means that there is a capacity for current to flow through this wire. It's not been crimped off at the back here. So that's great. So I'm going to be continuing to do this with all of these wires. Now that I've tested all of these and made sure that they are working correctly, do note it is important to test these, as I have found some of them weren't crimped properly, so I quickly did that off camera and just fixed them. So what you're going to be doing next is you're going to be inserting this wire that you've crimped into your balancing board. Okay, now at the top side here at the back, you're going to see B-, B1, B2, B3 and B4. So B-'s wire is gray. Now we're going to be taking this out because you don't want to be connecting this wires while the balancing board is plugged in. So I would recommend removing this and first just checking everything. So now we know that the gray wire is connected to B- on your board here. So what this means is you're going to be connecting it to the negative side of your battery. Just secure that with a washer and a bolt. So as you see here on the battery, it is marked which side is negative and which side is positive, but if you do want to remember this, negative will be the ones that take the nuts and the positive will be the side that takes the screws. Easy way of remembering it. Now you're just going to be following the line. So after gray, the next wire we do have here is the green wire. So be sure not to make any shorts between these batteries, as it will cause damage to your wires as well as the batteries. So next we're going to be taking the green wire, and it's going to be connected to the closest positive side of this battery, which is going to be this side of this same battery. So you're going to start by unscrewing this here. It can be connected to either one of these, but I would recommend connecting it to the most positive side. Just insert your screw here, and you're going to be connecting securing your wire here. Okay, now we're going to be looking at the orange wire, which is the next wire in the line. So you're just going from wire to wire to wire. and this is going to be connected to the next positive line, which is going to be here. Each bus bar receives a wire. So this one is going to be connected on this side, so I'm quickly going to do that. Okay, now that that's nice and secured, next wire in the line is going to be the brown wire, which is going to be connected to this side. Now you should only be left with one last wire. Be careful, these wires aren't color coded, so red or orange will not always be positive and gray won't always be negative. So some of the wires do differ, so be sure to note to that as well. Then your last lug is just going to be a screw with a washer, and you're going to be adding this last wire to your most positive side. This is going to be where you were measuring the 12 volts from. Now that all of these wires has been connected and it's loosely connected like this, you can be sure to fasten them. For the screws, I'm going to be using our 63-in-1 precision screwdriver set, which works quite nicely for all of these sorts of small applications. Everything here is magnetic based, so it's quite easy to remove. So I'm going to be securing these batteries quickly. For the nut side, I'm going to be using you can use any size 7 spanner or socket. I've got the screwdriver socket here, and I'm going to be using it to secure it. Make sure that when you are fastening each of these screws and nuts that the spring washer is being pressed flat. This will help protect your battery from vibration, so you won't get any loose connections here. Okay, now you see the battery is much more secure once everything has been connected, and now we are ready to plug in our balancing board. So as the balancing board sits here, just going to be plugging it in. Make sure you do it quickly, and there you go. You can see we're going to have a few lights flickering. Make sure to feel the temperature so nothing is getting warm. If you have made any mistakes during the connection, these cells should get warm. So as you can see here, these batteries were out of balance, so it is balancing on bank 1 to 2 and bank 2 to 3. So these lights are nice little indication that your balancing board is working and it is balancing. Do note, if you buy brand new batteries, that these lights won't always come on, as the batteries that you've bought are already balanced. As you charge and discharge, you're going to be seeing these lights going on and off. I'll be showing you how to test that in a moment. Now that your balancing board has been secured, you can just continue by placing it anywhere you'd like. Be careful of placing it over these terminals so there isn't any short circuit. And then I'm going to take our thermal conductive insulative tape, and I'm just going to be wrapping it around this battery just to secure everything nicely. Adding it like this. Just continue to wrap it around this battery. These batteries don't need any ventilation, so heat won't be a problem, and the balancing board also has current limiting capabilities, so it will not be overheating. So you can be sure to wrap this around as many times as you'd like, just to make the battery a little bit more secure and give this balancing board some weather resistance, especially if you're going to be inserting it into a gate motor. There we go. Excellent. Now this is a nice 12 volt battery, but you can't be connecting your Wi-Fi router directly to this. So for that, I would recommend using our chuck module, which is a buck boost converter, which will keep the voltage at a steady 12 volts, 5 volts or 24 volts, depending on what router you are using. So it doesn't matter if your battery is busy being charged or being discharged, the voltage on the output side will always stay the same. So you don't have any chance of damaging your router and causing any problems, voltage related problems. So I've already went and soldered this thing together. So I'm just going to grab it right here. You can see is our chuck module. On the input side, I've added 2 lugs to it, which is just going to be coupled straight to the battery. And on this side, I've just added a voltage meter to show you how the functionality of this works. So now, these 2 ends on this side is the sides that doesn't have any bus bars on them, and these are the sides where you're going to be testing your positive and your negative 12 volts. So as you remember, the ones with the screw is going to be negative, so I'm going to be connecting that to the negative side of this chuck module. So I'm just going to be untightening it there. Be sure to keep your balancing board terminals pressed down to the battery, so you don't want to be losing your connection there. Remove the washer as well as the nuts and continue to add the negative side over there. Continue by placing a spring washer and screwing on this nut. Just make sure it's nice and secure again, so you don't have any loose connections or arc gaps. Now I'm going to be taking my screwdriver again. I'm going to be untightening this one and just adding the other side. There. As previously shown, make sure that you do keep this lug pressed up against the battery. Losing connection won't be a problem, but it's preferred that you keep the connection there. Continue to add the other lug. And now that I've inserted it, just fasten it again and make sure it's nice and secure. Make sure the spring washer is being pressed down all the way. And there you go. Now you got a very nice Wi-Fi router battery. This should pull a router that takes around 10 watts for around 8 hours. So this is going to be perfect ideal for any load shedding occasions. Now, just to show you the functionality, I have included a voltage meter. It might be displaying weird on the camera because of its refresh rate. So at the moment we have 15.7 volts coming out of this. Now, continue to add a small flat screwdriver here, and we're going to be turning this potentiometer. So as the potentiometer is being turned, you're going to be realizing that the voltage here is going to change. So now we're going to continue to turn this, and there we go. Nice steady 12 volts output. This is going to be excellent for any router. You can just couple it straight on there, and we do have DC jacks as well, which are available to plug it straight into your router. And there we go. That is the tutorial for building the 12 volt battery with UPS for your router. Now, there are a few configurations in which you can build these, which is going to be, I've already prepared them before. So this is also a 12 volt battery. This is a smaller configuration. It's nice and thin, depending on where you want to store it. And then we also have this configuration. So all of them are viable choices. It depends on you. None of them are going to be more or less efficient. These are all the same batteries, but only in different configurations. So each of them, as I can demonstrate here, it's going to be 12 volts. So here, also 13.73. This one has been charged. And this one It's measuring 13.08, so it hasn't been charged. It's the exact same voltage as this one. So as you can see, customer support is very important to our viewers, and I really do hope that you did learn something today. And as I've said, if you have any additional questions, you're more than welcome to ask on the website or give us a phone call, and our team of experts will be sure to assist you. So leave a like and hit that subscribe button because more content will follow soon. Have a nice day.